Namaste. I am Dr. S.Padmapriya speaking to you. From today, I will be doing a series of videos on various topics of economics. Today's topic is an introduction to the subject of economics. Now, what is the meaning of economics? The term economics is derived from two Greek words, oiko and nomos, meaning law or rule of the household. Now, let us understand the idea of economics by going through some definitions of economics. One of the earliest definitions of economics was given by Adam Smith. Professor Adam Smith, J.B. Say, and J.S. Mill were some of the preeminent classical economists who believed that economics is the science which studies about production, distribution, and consumption of wealth. Professor Adam Smith is known as the father of economics. He wrote the great book on economics known as The Wealth of Nations. The next important concept of economics was given by Professor Alfred Marshall. There was a quantum jump from the understanding of economics as regarding wealth to the understanding of economics as a subject concerning welfare. This welfare definition of economics was given by the famous neoclassical economist like Professor Alfred Marshall. In his famous book, Principles of Economics, Professor Alfred Marshall defines economics as the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It examines that part of the individual and social action which is most closely connected with the attainment and with the uses of the material requisites of well-being. So here we see that there is a clear quantum leap from the understanding of economics as regarding wealth to the understanding of economics which concerns with the subject of welfare. Now we come to the next important concept of economics, which is concerning the idea of scarcity. This definition of economics was given by Professor Lionel Robbins in his famous book, Nature and Significance of Economics, published in 1932. According to Robbins, economics is the science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. So here we can note two important ideations given by Professor Lionel Robbins. One, that economics is a science. Second, he gives the understanding of economics as a science which studies human behavior, which involves both ends and scarce means. So we have the ideas of science, human behavior, and ends and scarce means as concepts related to the scarcity definition. The next important definition of economics, which is considered to be the best definition of economics thus far, was given by the great economist Professor Paul A. Samuelson. According to Professor Paul A. Samuelson, economics is the study of how men and society choose, with or without the use of money, to employ scarce productive resources which could have alternative uses to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in the future among various people and groups in society. Now, we can very clearly understand that the definitions of economics has reached a top level, or it has reached a high level with these concepts given by Professor Samuelson, wherein he introduces important ideations like scarce productive resources, use of money, alternative uses, concepts of production and distribution, now and in the future, and so on. So we find that this definition given by Paul A. Samuelson is very comprehensive because it makes us understand that it is men in society who choose with or without the use of money. So there is understanding of both money and barter to employ scarce productive resources which could have alternative uses to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in the future among people. So we have the complete comprehensive definition of economics given by Professor Paul A. Samuelson, who later on won the Nobel Prize in Economics. Now we must understand that there are four major economic activities which take place in an economy. They are consumption, which is the act of using goods and services to satisfy our wants. The next concept is production, or the activity which takes place in an economy is production, because you have to have goods and services to satisfy people's wants. Then we have distribution, because wealth has to be distributed to the people. People have to earn money. How do they earn the money? They will earn the money through having land which will yield them rent, or by having buildings or homes which will yield rent for them. Then they will have wages when they work hard and when they put their labor efforts. Then the capital is used to earn interest, and profits also is gained from entrepreneurship. So we have consumption, wherein the act of using goods and services is there to satisfy our wants. We have production, which is the process of making the goods and services. Then we have distribution, which is how the created wealth is distributed to the people in the form of rent, wages, interest and profits. And finally, we have exchange, which refers to the act of people exchanging goods and services. We must also understand that there are four major factors of production, and they are land, labor, capital and organization. We must also understand that economics is now considered both a science and an art. The reason is being that economics is a systematized body of knowledge in which economic facts are studied and analyzed in a systematic manner. So though we do not have experimentation as such, we do have the understanding of economics as consumption, production, exchange, distribution, public finance and so many other divisions. And we also have theories. We have laws in economics, like the law of diminishing marginality. We have the law of diminishing marginal rate of productivity. We have a law of demand. We have law of supply. We have various concepts of law, like Gresham's law, and so on and so forth. So we have theories like in science. We have generalizations like in science. We are able to study the relationship between different economic factors like demand, supply, people, and so on and so forth. And often these concepts can be applied and seen in real life. So in many ways it is a science. But at the same time, the beauty of economics is that it is not just a science, but it is also an art. Because at the end of the day, economics is concerned with human beings. And human beings are not machines to act perfectly, but they are rather irrational because their tastes, habits, social and legal institution of the society in which they live makes them do certain things. Therefore, we cannot confine economics to being in the ambit of just science, but we must understand that economics has moved to the ambit of both science and art. Now, very importantly, we also come to the understanding of whether economics is a positive or a normative science. So, we know that a positive science may be defined as a body of systematized knowledge concerning what is, and normative science is a body of systematized knowledge relating to what ought to be. Now, whether economics is just dealing with what is or what ought to be is in public domain, because we know very clearly that economics can certainly be not just a positive science, but it is also a normative science. We not only have proper ways of seeing the economy as it is, but we also want to ensure that there is employment generation, that there is poverty alleviation, and so on and so forth. So we all dream of a utopian, economic, egalitarian society with minimal differences in wages and prices. We want people to be happy. So all these things which make us want to use economics to benefit the people, or we want to adopt economic laws, or we want to frame economic policies to benefit the people, makes economics a normative science, which is we also are concerned with questions of how the economy should be, how the people should benefit by getting the poverty alleviation, by getting jobs, by getting good schools, and so on and so forth. So economics, we can understand very clearly, is not just a positive science because it is not just concerned with what is, but it is also a normative science because it is concerned with what ought to be for the greater well-being of the world and of the society. And thus we can see very clearly that economics has risen And it is not just a science but also an art. It is not just a positive science but it is also a normative science. It is indeed a very valuable subject. Friends, the scope of economics has thus really developed to a great extent. And it is important for us to understand that knowing economics will help us to handle all aspects of our own lives very well. So, economics has a huge scope in today's world, and therefore, the series of economic videos or videos on the topics of economics will be very beneficial. And I hope that it is liked, it is shared, and it is subscribed by a large number of people, so that economics is not just a subject of the elite, but economics becomes a subject of the masses. People know how to earn money, how to save money, how to invest money, how to use economics in practical world, and thus benefit not just themselves but all people around them. Thank you very much. Have a good day. And follow up on my future lessons on various topics of economics, which I will be covering regularly over the next many months. Thank you very much. Namaste.